episode 109, sponsored by Embryage Sport. Today we have East Coast sensation and former UFC star TJ Grant. Let's do it. Hello, folks. How are you? John, you're small today. I'm messing around with the settings. Welcome back. Episode 109, sponsored by Embryage Sport. How you doing, big guy?
Doing awesome, man.
Awesome. Welcome back. It's been a while.
Yeah, it has.
It's good to have you back.
It's good to be back, sir. It's good to see you.
Good. Okay, let's get into this. I guess I'm really excited for this episode. Here's a guy, John. We both, you know TJ better than I, but when it comes to people on the East Coast who have done so much for our sport, we all have our coaches, we all have people who influence us, but you know, TJ's the guy. He's the guy on the East Coast, and he's the superstar. He's the guy who's put Nova Scotia on the map. You know, obviously there's Cletus and Gavin and other fighters too, Roger. But you know,
TJ was the first guy to really get into it, man, and really make it to the top of the heap at the highest level. So, yeah, man, he definitely put the East Coast on the map. And then, I mean, the other guys that followed suit. I mean, TJ. I mean, it was. I remember being at Boston Pizza and watching TJ knock out Maynard, and the whole place went crazy. And I haven't watched the fight at Boston Pizza in many, many years.
I watched one actually recently.
Been a minute.
But
they haven't even held them up here forever. So
no, they haven't.
It was time.
Yeah, I'm pretty honored to have him on again, folks. This is a guy who's done so much for the East Coast community. He's made it at the very, very top of the heap, we'll say, of MMA. And obviously everybody knows the story. TJ knows the story very well about what happened. And now he's the owner of Grant's Martial Arts, really doing great things. And everybody's kind of training over there. And they're going to make a mark on the East Coast scene very soon. So let's bring him on. Let's talk. Let's see what he's got to say. Mr. TJ Grant, the one and only. How are you, sir?
Pretty good. How are you guys doing?
Awesome, man. Awesome. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
It's been a while. How's your day going?
It's going pretty good. Just went to the beach with the dog and did a little training session with Takari Howe.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And
how's Takari?
He's good. He's got a kickboxing fight coming up, I guess. So.
Oh, interesting.
He's doing well. Tough kid.
How old is Takari now?
I don't even know. I think he's like 10 or 11, maybe.
Yeah.
He's a beast, man.
He has been tearing it up forever and
does judo,
everything. Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu, wrestling, kickboxing, karate, taekwondo, Muay Thai.
Travels the world.
Yeah,
exactly. He is. That's cool.
That's really neat.
Well, he's smart.
Is he working private lessons with you is what he's doing?
Yeah. Private lessons with him. And so we were doing them before COVID, and then we just kind of started getting back to them a little bit. So
very good.
Yeah.
That must be kind of cool, to be really like working with someone with so much potential and who's so young. Like in 10 years, who knows where that kid will be.
Well, that's it. I mean, he's pushing himself. He's doing all the things that he needs to do. So really it is nice to when you train like kids.
We have a little Wi-Fi there. Sorry, TJ.
My Wi-Fi?
No, just ours. What were you saying about the kids? Sorry.
Oh no, it's just great when you get to train like a like-minded kid. You don't really have to push them too hard. They're there to push themselves, and they're doing it because they love it. So it makes my job easier.
Right, absolutely. You must feel kind of full circle now. Like obviously you've been coaching for a while at Pro Edge, and I'm sure you probably took part as an instructor throughout your whole career. But now putting your name and your stamp on your own academy, which we were talking about a little bit before we got on here. You know, you're working out of your garage now, but you were working on a space before COVID hit. Obviously, you mentioned, you know, your website's under production, your logo's out. Why don't you get into it, man? Like, tell us about your club and your plans and how you kind of feel like as a career. You know, obviously the fighting was very high profile, and then I guess you were recovering for like 2 years, right? With the head, like it was quite a while, and then back into it, and now opening your own school. I mean, it's quite the journey, right?
Yeah, it can be really.
Is he stuck to you too, Kat?
Be a part of this. We lagging here, boys?
Sorry.
Yeah, a little Wi-Fi issues. I'm not sure what's going on there. It's okay. Sorry, TJ.
No, so yeah, I just I wanted to stay involved in the sport, but it's just every time I would try to train, it wouldn't necessarily feel great, and just took a little time to get myself back into the groove. And I worked away, tried to make some money, provide for my
Yeah.
family, but ultimately it brought me back to the sport I love, and I'm thrilled to be able to do it and stay consistent with training. And I really enjoy the training. I would love to just do it for a living and like be able to beat people up like I used to, but that ship has sailed, so now I gotta do the next best thing.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, you're not very old. Like, are you 40 yet, DJ?
No, I'm 36.
Okay, you're younger than I am.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's awesome, man. I mean, at least you have a lot of good years, and you can do some hard training, maybe bring some guys up. If fighting's not on the cards anymore, then it's the next best thing, right? I know for myself, like I was never competing at any kind of level, but I always just loved training. Like if I could spar all day long, to me that's the most fun thing in the world. And my body doesn't hold up for it anymore either. So I imagine you must feel, especially after taking a break, to really let yourself recuperate overall. Coming back to it must feel refreshing, is it?
It's refreshing. It's tough though. I mean, like, because I was so used to doing it, when I would do it, it would be like, I'd be eating good and, sleeping whenever I wanted during the day. And now I come back to it. I have kids and I have another job, and it's like, holy cow, like I'm still trying to train, but it's like, I'm not living the lifestyle I used to live. That's for sure. But, that's a hard thing to do, especially with a family and getting older. And if I'm not going to compete at that level, then why do I need to, put in all that crazy work? So I'm just having fun, man. Like I'm doing jiu-jitsu is like, my passion. I'm not really getting punched in the face anymore. I won't really do that forever. And like, it's just too risky. I did enough of it. I enjoy it. That's part of the problem, right? I start getting hit and I like that. And then it doesn't really lead to my long-term health.
Did you do any stand-up sparring at all anymore?
Sometimes I'll play around, but
more like point fighting or whatever.
Pretty much. I just got to trust who I'm working with and stuff.
Of course.
When you go through something like that, you just don't really want to go through it again. And it's selfish too. Like if I'm not getting paid like a lot of money to fight, then what's the point of putting my body at risk for that? So.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you on that one. I mean, I guess we're all kind of aware of the risk, but until you really go through something like that, like, did you find, not to like beat a dead horse, I'm sure you've been through this a million times, but leading up to the point where you were like, your body just said no, and you had to take, it was years, right? It was 2-3 years off of training and getting hit. It must have been.
Yeah, I took some time off. I'd still like do some jiu-jitsu and roll and stuff, but yeah.
But leading up to that, like, was it obvious that there was an issue, or was it like you're okay, done, or was it like
like I fought Gray Maynard. I had one of my better performances.
And, remember it well.
I went right back to training. I just went back to training too soon and took some hits in the fight, probably leading up to the fight. And then obviously I got whacked a couple times in training, just accidental.
Yeah.
And no, man, that's just, it sucks to learn a lesson like that. But if I can pass anything on to somebody else, sometimes you learn the hard way, and you got to kind of go with somebody else's experience. So the next guy because I mean, it's not the type of sport that you can sit there and baby yourself, because it's combat sport. So you're going to have to, get lit up. You're going to have to deal with that stuff. But if you can try to, control the amount of times you're sparring, when you're sparring before a fight, and then just making sure you take rest and just find other productive ways to train. You don't have to be slugging it out to make crazy or good improvements. The improvements got to happen between fights. And sometimes when you're just constantly going through the grind, it can add up and shave years off of your career, right?
Of course. Or your
it is
life.
what it is, man.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have it any other way. I mean, I could say that now. I don't know. I mean,
yeah. But really, though, like, you've done something that most people will never accomplish in their entire life. It sucks that it was cut short. I know everyone on the East Coast like feels your pain.
Yeah.
I think even since this has happened to you, there's been a massive shift in the way people are training and sparring. Like when you were training coming up, was it hard sparring quite often? Because I know with my boxing coaches and the guys that I came up starting with, like that was pretty common to spar hard. And now I know, you know, a lot of professionals, guys that have been doing it forever, they don't spar at all between fights, or they, you know, they just point spar. And I know for ourselves, we're much more aware of the dangers, and the precautions we take are much greater, you know.
You know, I don't think we were overly like careless in our sparring. Like we didn't try to, no, there'd be certain training partners you would just, you know, you kind of give that little, like, you know, we'd work on it together and we'd build up to a point where, yeah, there's some heavy leather being thrown, but I was never the type of guy that, like, you know, counted how many times I would knock somebody down in training. Like I very rarely did that ever. I took more thrill in just, like, you know, smashing them in the body and, you know, making them, you know, put my pressure on them and mentally defeat them. That's kind of what I enjoyed to do. But, you know, it's one of those things you got to you still need the hard sparring. You know, how are you going to get sharp? But it's how often you need it, and you got to analyze. If I could go back, maybe, you know, I've had it told before, but like analyze your sparring and like watch certain things so that you, instead of like, because when you're on the inside, you can't understand what the hell's going on. But when you're on the outside looking in and watching yourself, you probably could see things that, oh yeah, that I remember what I was thinking at that point. Maybe, you know, I could do this better and I can exit this way. Because sometimes when you're having a bad day, all you do is just bite down on your mouthpiece and you get pissed off and you just go forward. You hit twice as much, but maybe, you know, you impose your will. But is that, you know, you learning anything? No. I know I'm tough, so why do I need to, you know, keep reiterating that in training rather than. So there's a lot of things, you know, you'd want to change, but like, you know, pass that on to the next guy.
Yeah, of course. I hear you. I mean, I remember just getting my bell rung when I was starting out, didn't know what I was doing as far as stand up, and now going on, like any of the guys I bring up, I usually start them on the stand up with me because I don't want that to happen to them. And one of the biggest things I found was, especially with new people, like we'll even do like drills to kind of introduce to getting hit and getting used to seeing punches coming. So it breaks it down very gradually, because when you get in there, you're scared and you're flinching and everything's going on. And then if you get cracked, like that could set you back weeks on just being gun shy and being afraid to open up and try new things. So I really think, especially starting off, like it just needs to be so gradual to build up the comfort in there, you know, when someone's trying to hit you, instead of just jittery and closing your eyes and turning away, which is probably the hardest thing to work out of somebody brand new.
And that would be one of those things too, you know, with the reason why, like, you know, you see those top pro boxers that can take good punches. It's they're sitting down, they're in a good position, their eyes are open, they're watching like it's the one that you don't see. So if you're getting careless, and especially new people, it doesn't matter how good your chin is. Like you've seen like fighters like, you know, Robbie Lawler, really tough guy. He's gotten starched early in his career, but as he got better and more comfortable, like, man, the guy, he got rocked, but I mean, he took some serious heat, man. Like, and he could take punches like right to the end of his career, because he was so good with his foundation, kept his chin tucked, and he'd always see the punches, right?
Yeah,
so
and
go ahead.
I was going to say, I think Robbie Lawler's a guy that doesn't spar between fights anymore. He had that hard upbringing, and now he spars. Yeah, exactly, right? So he spars very little now, from what I understand, or not at all, and kind of saves it for the fight.
Exactly, and that seems to be the best approach these days, man.
Especially with someone like that who's been through the wars, right? I mean, he's going to have damage sustained that other guys starting now, I don't think will sustain their entire career if they did 50 fights.
Yeah, and I mean, like, you know, when you're starting out, you have to pay your dues, man. Like,
no question.
You're a high school wrestler. You know, you got to do things. Your body's going to recover. You just got to suck it up and do that, build the character, but get as much time repping while you're young, and your body's going to just keep recovering. Because when you're 28, 29, and you start to, like, you know, reap the benefits financially of these fights and stuff, you're not able to go back, and you can't do everything. It's one of those sports. It's not like any other sport. Like, you have all these different disciplines you have to do, plus you have to eat, and maybe if you want to try to do yoga, and if you have any type of family or other hobby, it's like, how the hell are you supposed to do that all in a week and sleep? And so it's like, you got to, like, pay your dues early, and then as you get better, you got to be really specific. You already should know, like, kind of where you're going, what you're training, and you know, maybe shorten the times, be very specific, analyze it, do it, go on to the next thing. So
yeah, mitigate risk as much as possible.
For sure.
Try to make good decisions. No, that's really good advice. And I think too, Well, you were quite young when you started training, right? I know for myself, I was in my mid-20s when I really got serious. All these guys, I mean, I've got kids now that started with me when they were 5 and 6.
Yeah.
They're teenagers now, and they're still training, and they've got all the potential in the world, right? It's second nature to them at this point. But bringing them through on more like a 20-year plan than a 5-year plan, I think provides a lot more opportunities for longevity. And also, man, you hate to see these guys, like, you watch a few documentaries on concussions, and then you see these boxers that are 45 and they can't talk or walk, and the absolute devastating effects that you just don't see. Like, you'd hate to see that happen to anybody. But I guess too, in a sense, with the kind of sport like hockey or football or fighting, it could be one weird accident that changes everything too, right? So
it's definitely
it's tough, right?
We gotta protect ourselves, but sometimes we can't protect ourselves because we got ego and we're driven to win, and you got to have your coaches looking out for you, and everybody's kind of got to look out for each other. But you can't kind of wade through the whole sport without putting yourself in that road. You got to do it. It's just a matter of like you said, mitigating the risk and cutting down the amount of times you're at risk. And do brand new people need to be sparring like hard? No, not at all. Like,
not at all.
Work your way up that, because if you start sticking your chin in the air and you don't know how to tuck your chin, you're just going to keep getting wobbled every single time, and then you're going to say, well, I don't like getting hit. I can't take a punch. It's like, it's not that you can't take a punch, it's that you don't know how to take a punch.
Your neck's probably not even developed to the point where it's going to help you not get wobbled when you get.
But seeing the kids now, I mean, they're way ahead of the game. Like, they're going to be so good. They are already so good. We're seeing a generation now of grapplers that is just insane. Like, they're just so fit and
I know. I
move
say
so
all the
well.
time, put 50 pounds on some of these kids and they'd just be killers, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like,
your kids are training. You were mentioning this earlier, so your little guy has a suspension from jiu-jitsu class right now.
Yeah,
he
just served it. Yeah, he doesn't like losing, so if he has a bad one, he cries and kind of disrupts the class. But
good.
Then later on after practice, the kids were kind of hanging around, and he punched a 9-year-old in the stomach, kind of a little bit too hard.
How old is your son?
He's 5.
Okay.
Almost 5. He'll be 5 in October. But
he's
just a little too aggressive. We're just trying to, it's like Spider-Man, Peter Parker. You got to, with great power comes great responsibility. So we're trying to channel his violence so that, because I mean, I'm not going to, my kids are going to be a little bit, hopefully, tough. And I don't mind that, but I don't want them being bullies, and I don't want them.
Of course.
So he's a pretty good kid, but he had a week-long suspension from jiu-jitsu, and he's back to it. And today he should be getting back on the mat. So we'll see how he does. See if he can stay on the straight and narrow.
Sounds like he takes after his old man with the competitiveness. Then, eh?
Oh, he's a psycho, man.
That's perfect, man.
Yeah,
I got a 4-year-old. I'm trying to channel his energy into as well. He watches a little too much Power Rangers, I think.
They love Power Rangers.
Attacks me like a lunatic any chance he gets, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's good. It's good. I can't wait to just continue on with that. Training your own kids is something on a whole other level.
And they think they can get away with more in practice. Start giving you attitude, and it's like, you can't do that. But then what can you do during practice? I can't strangle you. Like,
that's right. Yeah.
A couple more years, I'll be able to.
Yeah, once they get into the older class. We don't start submissions at our school until 8. So I've got a 9-year-old now, so he's gonna catch it once we get back on the bats.
Exactly.
But yeah, man, like, what's life now? You got your school started. You've got young, a couple of young kids. You're working. What is it you're doing as a profession now? Like, let people know.
I'm working with that. Doing. Yeah, I work with at-risk youth. So,
right.
So I'm doing that. I work pretty good amount of hours during the week, and when I'm home. I got my kids in the day. I can't wait till they go back to school, because then I can maybe start hitting up yoga again, or trying to get back to a normal life somewhat. COVID, I've drank too many beers. Drank a lot of beers, got a lot of projects done, but I just want to get back to like healthy post-summer jiu-jitsu. You know.
It's tough to do it without that regular schedule. I found
Yeah.
teaching especially keeps you honest, right?
Like I kind of had to bribe them. There, I put them in front of the Wii so I could do this, but
Yeah.
as soon as like I'm done here, they're gonna be like, "What are we doing next, Dad?" So what are you gonna
Yeah.
what are you gonna do?
You gotta entertain.
And I got a
them,
puppy
right?
too. I got a puppy back there somewhere.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
sucker for punishment, man.
Oh yeah. So
Oh, that's good.
life is
Work-
busy.
No doubt. I hear that, man. And of course,
Yeah.
like as soon as you start adding kids and family into the equation, it's so important to spend time with them and bring them along, and everything else has to go. Oh, here's Steve Hess again. Your opinion on headgear, TJ? Do you think it makes things better or worse for sparring? Sorry, Steve, I forgot about that earlier.
Man, not a problem. It's I think I don't know. I've heard about the studies saying, in the amateurs, whatever, they think you get hit with more shots, and I agree with that. I think that like headgear has its place, absolutely. If you're gonna do like some solid sparring, you probably should wear it. But you can also get complacent because you just take punches, but a lot of punches that probably shouldn't be able to even hit you because you got an extra inch or two on both sides.
Right.
I personally wore headgear throughout. I've done some sparring without headgear. You're going to limit like headbutts and just weird stuff like that with headgear. I think it definitely dissipates the impact of the punch, so you don't get hit and hurt as much. But I kind of like sparring without headgear, to be honest. Like even now, if I were to move around, I'd rather just not wear headgear because for me, it's like I'd rather have an opportunity to not even get hit at all than feel the impacts because I got just my neck is just like an old man's neck, so I don't like getting hit with anything.
Yeah. I hear you. Yeah. And that's a good point, too. I mean, it's kind of the trade-off between maybe getting a little accidental elbow ding or something or a scuff compared to getting hit less.
But I think like when you're getting closer to a fight and your sparring is a little more live, I think you should probably be wearing a headgear, especially like, if you're grappling and stuff too. I mean, geez, like you could hit somebody's hip and split your eye open. Like it's,
No, that's absolutely true. Yeah. And that's one of the other toughest things. Like we've seen it through, I mean, it's all the time in our sport. The guys trying to get to a fight without getting injured. The amount of injuries and pullouts from injury leading up to fights is incredible. Was there any fights in your career you missed out on due to injury or?
Yeah, I missed out on a few, like Jacob Folkman I missed out on. I fucked my elbow up, and with Charlie Brenneman too, I got sick, and I just but I and then obviously the Gray Maynard, or not the Gray Maynard, the title fight that I was supposed to have there. But and the thing too is like you gotta fight injured. Like I've fought with some injuries and stuff, but at the same time, like when you're fighting in the UFC and the times when I didn't fight, it was always, if I go to that fight and I'm less than well less than 100%, if I'm fighting say like a high caliber wrestler and I haven't done any wrestling, so I had an injury, it's like I could possibly lose my job. Like if I have a bad performance and instead of, so you got to kind of think about that too, but you want to be able to fight through things, which, I mean, we all fight through things all the time. Like, but if something's really debilitating your training to the point where you can't properly condition your body or your lungs and everything else, then, you might have to, reconsider.
Yeah, I think so. It's got to be tough when you're doing that as a living. Like you don't get paid if you don't fight, but if you fight, potentially you're going to lose your job based on a poor performance. But even worse, I mean, it ain't, track and field or something. Like if you have a poor performance, you just have a poor performance. Like a poor performance could mean a serious injury if you're resting when you should be moving or something like that. Like the stakes are so much higher.
Having, I know you probably heard about the Joe, what the fuck's that guy? Joe Silva stories. Like, do you see them talking about the Joe Silva stories on social media lately?
No.
Joe Silva, the UFC matchmaker.
Yeah. Sorry.
People were kind of exactly coming out and saying all these stories about just how shitty he was.
He was a bit of like a Napoleon back there.
Yeah, and he was decent with me, but he made it known, like, if I didn't win a fight, like, I'd probably be looking for a job elsewhere multiple times. There's never like negotiating either. It's just like, boom, this is what you're fighting for, and And I think when I ended up getting the title shot, I don't even know if it was him that awarded it. I think it was Dana, honestly, because Dana said like he liked the way I fight, and that was what they were kind of looking for at 155 at the time, having a bunch of like Benson winning close decisions and the guys that were challenged. You know what I mean? So they were trying to pump some new refreshing blood in there, and I don't know. I had a decent style. Like I'd like to bring the fight, and I think that's important. Whether you're a grappler or a striker, like I don't really think like it matters. It's like if you're a guy who's pushing the pace and trying to finish the fight, no matter like if it's a submission or a ground and pound or a TKO or a knockout on the feet, that's what they're going to enjoy. You don't have to be a flashy stand-up guy, but if you're constantly pushing the fight. But anyways, Joe Silva, to get back to what I was saying, he made it known that when you're going in there, you could lose your job. So what the hell are people supposed to do, right? And then he criticizes them if they win a boring fight. I never let that really bother me too much, but if it was coming down to the wire and I was injured and I didn't have the training that I wanted to have, fuck him, man. I don't care.
Yeah,
or invest a little bit of money in my promotion. I don't care.
Yeah. No, that's ridiculous, man. Like the kind of head fuck that would be walking into a fight, which at the time, I mean, every fight in the UFC, I guess every consecutive fight would be your biggest fight ever. And you got a guy like this that's pulling strings.
A little
organization.
Dork gamer, man. Like a little fucking.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm sure a lot of guys were just frustrated that they couldn't knock his head off. But having a guy like that pull the strings and kind of, man, he just sounded like a piece of shit the way he would hold that over people and give them a hard time. Like,
absolutely.
It's unbelievable he got into that position and stayed there for so long. It blows my mind. I mean, you'd think he would be acting like the luckiest guy in the world with that position, that job. Like,
he's back.
There he is.
Yeah. I just I took myself out of there, sorry boys, because I didn't want I had a feeling maybe the internet was just a little bit. The three of us on there, it might have been a little bit too much. So as soon as I took myself out, it seemed to work fine. So
you're back anyway. It's good to see you, man.
Thanks. Well, yeah, I know you're getting you got the couple kids and the dog there. I know you don't have a lot of time, so we don't want to take up your whole day. But I also don't want to cut off this conversation. So
keep going. It's all good.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Where were we at, John? Sorry, I guess I did.
I lost my whole train of thought there now.
We were talking about Joe Silva.
Fuck Joe Silva. Yeah, fuck Joe Silva. Those stories are ridiculous, man.
Yeah, Brendan Schwab had some good ones, and everybody. I mean, God, like I don't think there's a guy in the UFC that didn't have a story about him that would just piss you off. Just even going to shake his hand, he's just like he'll be like this on his phone, and then he'll go. Give you like one of these like fake like
that's cool. A good
and then you just walk away. And like I kind of liked it at the end there when my last fight there, when Mike Tyson gave me the bonus, he overruled, like Dana gave me a card that said fight of the night, I don't know if it was Cain Velasquez, and I don't even remember. I couldn't tell you who the fight of the night was. I have a piece of paper, but it had like the performance bonus or submission and knockout of the night, and knockout of the night was Junior Dos Santos over Mark Hunt, which to me, I was like, I get it. That's, you knocked out Mark Hunt, first of all, which is damn near impossible to do back then. And you did it with a spinning wheel kick. In the third round, when you didn't need to knock him out, you're coasting to a victory. But when Joe handed it to Dana, Mike Tyson was there, and he's like, no, TJ gets that. So then so I was kind of like, at least I got the, and I got the title shot, which I didn't get to fight, but it was kind of cool, right? Because fuck Joe Silva.
Yeah, really though. But I mean, just to be in the same conversation as Mike Tyson's got to be incredible as a fighter coming up. Everyone knows who Tyson is, and now you're kind of rubbing elbows with those guys. As a career that was, I mean, it was awesome, man. Like you did some great things. Being in the video game, like that's got to be one of the coolest things ever. Like I think about this every now and then. I remember when you were put in the game and you made a post years and years and years ago. And every now and then I just think about like, I'll see a UFC 4 ad or something and be like, man, TJ's in a friggin' video game. Like of all the things to kind of like, put you in a time in history, like being part of a game is fucking neat, man.
Yeah, it was pretty cool actually. I haven't played it much. I played a few times and I got beaten. I have the game. I don't even have I don't even have like a PlayStation 4 or Xbox One. I don't have time. Like I used to play Madden a lot and Call of Duty and kids, man. I was like, I don't even want to come near that because.
Yeah, it's just a massive time.
Well, then you end up like, you go on tilt, you lose to your buddy, and then you're like, oh, let's play another one. It's 2 a.m. Like that's what used to happen. Like we're playing for $50, $100 a game back when I had UFC money.
Yeah, UFC money.
Yeah, can't do that now.
$50 a game. Wow, look at you. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
What? Well, I'm gonna jump in here right quick if that's okay, John. I'm quite interested back in the early ECC days, TJ. Like what it was like then. Like obviously that kind of prepared you a little bit. You fought in some other shows as well, but like the Forum, some big crowds, some really big crowds back in the day.
Yeah, I mean the first ECC I was on, it was the first one ever, and there was a huge buzz. They were trying to. Everybody was like, well, there was, the weird people were complaining and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. It's going to be violent. But it sparked interest. There was 6,000, well, pretty close to 6,000 people at the Forum.
Jeez.
And it was insane. Like, it was nuts.
That's a massive show.
And like the first 3 or 4 ECCs were like, solid, like, really 3,500, 4,000 people. And they were just crazy. They were just crazy.
Yeah. I'm always interested in that because like John and I have this talk a lot about whether MMA will get back to that level. We think we can sell events where it can be 2,500, 3,000 people here in the Maritimes, but I don't know. Like, you look at those kind of times, it's like, oh, that was like the Mecca. What do you think, TJ? You think it can? I don't know.
I do. I do actually. I think, but here's the catch. Like, you start to build a guy up. That guy, like, kind of carries the flag. Back in the day, that guy would carry the flag, and then next thing you know, he would just go to the big league, or he would end up going and fight in Quebec. I left. I fought in Quebec. I came back. I had some fights with like Phoenix Fight, and I had like King of the Cage, and then what was the other one? I don't know. I fought a few times in back in the city afterwards, but it's about. And I think now it's so difficult to get into the UFC and I think like the way you guys are going about it, like I think you could really do some big draws like locally, as long as you just, you got to obviously not try to get too big too quick. And the good thing too is the amateur, right? The amateur is huge. If the commission doesn't give you too hard of a time, it's tough sometimes to get people to fight amateur if they have to do all the full on pro medicals and everything else, but.
Sorry,
there's a lot of talent here, man. There's so much talent. I don't know why. Like, I don't know why when there's times for a fight, there's just not people to fight. Like, how is that possible? Like, you go through all these gyms and there's just so many good guys. Like, and I don't know if it's because they don't want to fight each other because they train and they go to same jiu-jitsu tournaments or whatever. But it's like, if you can get guys from the Maritimes to fight, and you're not flying people in from all over the place, then you can really have a good thing. I don't see why it shouldn't work, especially you guys have got it going on.
Well, that means a lot coming from you. You know how hard it is to do this kind of stuff. So we're positive about it. I think you're right too. Like there's so much talent. I think the sky's the limit with it. But giving them the right product, I think is key. I think like giving them something to look forward to here. Like John, like he's a big proponent of promoting 2 or 3 events at the same time. So, which is smart, right? Because then these athletes have like 3 events to look forward to, and something to train for. Maybe, I don't know.
It helps build a storyline as well. And I mean, talking about building star power, you need these guys to kind of, he got through this fight and then, a little hype. He did some cool shit. Now he's got a few more followers and now he's on the next one. And then that leads to this one, which is a title fight. And then you have people start, like when TJ was going up, people started hearing about him. More people hear about him. Win some more fights. More people hear about him. By the time he's fighting Gray Maynard, the whole province is watching, and it's massive, right? So you build these guys up and build awareness and create a storyline.
The only problem with that is, like TJ said, it's hard to get in the UFC. But it's like, back in the day, you'd have 7 or 8 or 9, 10 fights. He'd be your champion for 2 or 3 fights. Now it's like they get their 3-0, and now they're fighting in the Contender Series and gone.
It's true.
So,
it's true.
But it's not even It's hard though, man. It's hard to crack into the UFC. Like it's not easy.
Yeah.
Unless you got a good connection. It's It is tough. So I think like
I've
that's
seen
probably
that
going to
too,
lay.
Russell. Sorry.
What were you saying, TJ? Sorry.
Oh yeah, I
When
see
you
that.
fought Rio Shonen, I was there for that one as well. That was a good night.
Yeah, yeah, that was a fantastic night.
No doubt.
Yeah, yeah, but I
Yeah.
don't even know what was I going on about.
You were talking about how hard it is to get in the UFC unless you know somebody, or
It seems like it's getting tougher, but you got to just keep making noise. And like John was saying, building that story. I know you guys had a big thing planned in the spring. Like you had your first one, and you were right on it to just keep momentum. And I think that's important because then you get the person who goes, oh well, I watched him last time.
yeah.
You don't see people on TV. People got the option to watch UFC every weekend, but there's nothing like going to the live fights. And
It's true.
then you actually start supporting people and getting the right people that obviously have a little bit of local, not fame,
Appeal.
but just local support.
Yeah.
And you can really get a building on fire if you get the right guy in there, and he's got tough fights too. Like everybody thinks they're just gonna fight a bunch of guys and that they're matched up and they should beat, and then get to the show. It's like that might not happen, man. Like I had a pretty good schedule of fighting guys when I was starting out. I think I had 16 fights before I got in the UFC, and I had a lot of consistent fights. I had the right fights at the right time.
Yeah.
But there should always be times in your young career you're going into a fight and you're like, I don't know. Like I always in my mind thought like I could lose. Like, you got to test yourself. So you got to try to fight up a little bit, see what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of the big differences in MMA and boxing, right? In MMA, if you have a loss, it's more expected, I guess. Where with boxing, you want that. Everyone talks about it, you want that 30-0 career to even break into the pay-per-views. But with MMA, there's so many variables. Like you can lose, whether you're Anderson Silva or not. Eventually,
Yeah.
you zig when you should have zagged, and it's as simple as that. You lost. Yeah.
And now it's getting to the point like you're looking at guys that are 1-0 or 0-0, and they have like a black belt or a brown belt, and they want to fight MMA, and everyone's like, oh, I don't want to fight that guy. It's like,
yeah,
fuck, man. Like, what are you going to do now? Like everybody's ranking up. Like it's not gonna. People, you're not going to be fighting white belts anymore. Like
right.
fucking backyard guys. Like you're going to fight tough guys. It is what it is. Like just get out there, train, and mix it up, have some fun.
Yeah, it's inevitable, especially
and entertain
younger.
the people.
Right. Yeah.
That's great. That's great advice, though, TJ. Like I'm always like, it's so important to entertain the people. Like you can be a fighter, and it all depends. Everybody's different, I guess, what they want to get out of the sport, but or what path they want to take. But entertainment is a huge part of it. Because I was watching one of your interviews a few weeks ago about with Showdown Joe's interview, like Fight Week, and talking about cutting weight and everything, and you're like, I welcome this. Because this is what I'm doing. This is my business. This is my career. So I welcome everything that comes with it. Smart way to look at it. The only way to look at it, I guess.
Well, you got like what are your options? Like you're gonna like people get like I used to fucking stress like crazy, man. Nerves like were just insane. Like for fighting, like barely sleeping and feeling like you've never trained before and almost puking before fights. Pissing every 5 seconds, like, and then but it's like that. There's a guy in the tunnel. Oh, I'm not really warmed up anymore. I'm cool. Like, do I want to do this? And then it's like, you just look at that guy and he's fucking probably feeling all the same shit as you, but he's got the same, focused look on his face.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, today I'm not going to let this fucking guy do what he wants to do. Like, we're going to go out there and figure it out. But just got to trust yourself and know, like, you're going to go out there and mix it up. And I always just said, like, once I go into the cage, like, I always basically, I didn't really say a prayer, but I just said, like, whatever happens, happens. Like, let's fucking do this, That's kind of always the mentality I had. And because there's times you don't feel ready. You don't feel like you did enough or whatever. Yeah. But at that point, it's like, what can you control? None of that. You can just go out there, try your best to impose your will, have a good poker face, attack them, Hopefully you have the skills in order to hang, and
Well said. I love that. That's very true. Yeah. At the end of the day, it's, the old cliche saying, once the door closes, there's not much you can do, I guess, and trust in yourself. I don't know because I've never done it, and I can barely compete in jiu-jitsu without having a goddamn mental breakdown, but
It's true.
It's
the hardest
true, man.
Jiu-jitsu, there's fucking lots to worry about in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
I guess you're not worried about getting like your fucking head
Elbowed in
punched
the
off,
lip.
but it's like every single thing you're like, oh,
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu's complex, man.
Yeah.
MMA, it's like, I'm just gonna put him in my closed guard, defend myself a little bit, get up to my feet.
Yeah, jiu-jitsu can bring a little bit, especially with all these new, like we were saying before, like there's a lot, like I don't know, Mitch Clark was on there the other night talking about that, about like the same shit, like how there's so many kids who are totally different, like the fundamentals aren't just there anymore. And I look at the shows we put on, the sub only shows, like a lot of them were exciting, but a lot of them are like fundamentally so fucking terrible. Like,
Well, like if you do happen to get your guard passed and you don't know how to fucking re-guard, but you can invert and basically perform fellatio on yourself. It's like that's cool, but that's not the way you should be escaping.
Yeah.
Totally not.
You can invert and you can do this, and it's like you want to learn leg locks, cool, but you got to learn how to fucking bread and butter escape, so that like no matter what, like the situation. Because, like, how it is. Like, the better the guys you go against, the more pressure you feel.
Mm-hmm.
Like, physical weight and pressure on your body. And if you don't have those, you're going to, be in for a rough one.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's very true. I know myself when I roll with Jared, it's just, like, I still say to this day, and I don't know if you roll with him, John. I know, TJ, you roll with him lots. But I still say to this day, I've legit never passed Jared's guard. In 11 years of training with him, I've never passed his guard. And other guys are like, I've tapped him out. I'm like, good for you. Styles make fights, I guess, but I've never passed his guard.
Yeah. No, I don't think I have either.
But it's like that old. It's like he's really good at leg locks too, but it's that old style of pressure, right? Like it just he's got beautiful side control and holds you there and forces you to make a mistake. So
Viner says that about you, TJ. He never passed your guard. Impossible.
Never has, never will.
I
don't think he's ever tapped me either. Though.
No, I can't imagine he has.
Shout out to Viner.
Yeah. Hey man, he says it how it is.
Oh yes, Viner's one of a kind. I love that guy. That guy. Well, buddy, we won't hold you up too much. TJ, we thank you so much for joining us and taking the time out of your day and doing what you're doing for East Coast, man. And we wish you all the success with Grant's Martial Arts. And hopefully I can get out there and get my head beat in one of these days. So
absolutely. We'd love to have you guys out.
Awesome, good chatting with you, TJ.
All right, John. All right, Kat. Take care, guys. Thank you.
Okay, buddy. Enjoy your day. Right. Thanks again, TJ. Chat soon.
Bye.
Fantastic, John.
Excellent.
Great episode. Very, very cool.
It's good to catch up with TJ, man. He's one of those guys that we just kind of been kicking around the same circles for, 10 or 15 years now. And every time we run into each other, say hello. And how are the kids these days,
Yeah.
Things changed.
I'll never forget the first time I met him at an ECC, and I don't know, he might have been there coaching Colatus or something, but I was like, hey, TJ, how you doing? Like, here I am, like just some fanboy, like blue belt or something. Like, I was trying to get an autograph for like a fucking charity golf tournament or something. I was like, hey man, how you doing, TJ? I was looking at it, I was just like mesmerized, like but he took the time out of his day and how nice and genuine he was. Like, that's what I love about this sport. At the very highest of levels, people are so genuine and easygoing. They're just humble, right? Like
TJ never lost any of that. No, it's pretty cool. I found some old lanyards the other day at Abaya cleaning out the desk from back when Rowan and TJ and the boys were fighting in King of the Cage and Phoenix fights and that. So I still have like the cornerman lanyards from when Pat and the boys would have been cornering back then on those cards. Pretty neat, man. Like there's some
a lot of history here.
Scotia combat sports history there. Yeah,
big
absolutely.
Time, big time. Shout out to all those promoters making it happen.
Yeah,
all right,
put it on the line.
Well, let's get rid of this day. Let's get this day started. Great episode, buddy. Again, thanks to our sponsors let's change that banner up there before we tell them. And Visage Sport, the main sponsor, one of our main sponsors for our upcoming
I love this
grappling event. Very, very good. Pre-workout coffee will be available directly here from Nova Scotia very soon. So make sure you're getting in and checking that out, as well as our friends at Beat It Sport, the two main sponsors for our upcoming grappling show. All right, John.
Hell yeah, brother.
Great day. Great job in the interview.
Merci.
Matt Johnson, thanks for tuning in, buddy. Appreciate it. Congrats on the brown belt again. All right, John.
Awesome.
We'll see you soon, my man.
All right, brother.
Okay.
Take care. Cheers,
We're
everybody.
up.